This episode of IGN Conversations is brought to you by Gran Turismo 6, available December 6th.
Hey guys, Eric and Roth here to talk about The Walking Dead's Season 4 mid-season finale. Full spoilers, we're about to go full into what happened here. And we should also warn, we're going to go into the comic book a little bit, where the prison story ended as well in the comic book. So if you're not caught up on that, we're going to be touching upon that.
Yeah, I think maybe the first little bit we'll just talk in general about the finale, but then we'll let you know when we're going to get into the comic stuff. And if you haven't read it and don't want to know, jump on out.
Yeah. But let's start, you reviewed it, the
did.
mid-season finale. What did you think, Roth, overall?
You can read my review on ign.com. It's
Reading,
kind of
that's for squares.
That's for squares, that's amazing. It's funny, I thought those last 20 minutes were great. I feel like the whole Governor 3-episode arc was questionable. This is a little bit of a making up for a redo of the failed or not quite hitting all of the marks season 3 finale, which I have mixed feelings about because the fan base did want to see this storyline. They did want to see this war, and so that's great. But it's also a bit of a cheat, and I'm not sure this was the best way to get there. But I did think that those last 20 minutes were great, effective, had some great emotional moments. And in terms of The Walking Dead, this was a good episode in that way. There was just some filler in the earlier parts of the episode that I thought detracted from it a bit. There was a lot of circular talking about, we're going to win and you're going to be dead.
Right.
There were some good moments, but he literally repeated himself a few times, you know?
And it was funny. I thought it was funny when Rick was saying, like, I'm not in charge anymore. There's a council. I thought, the governor doesn't care. I thought the governor should be like, oh, tell me about, how does the council work? Who keeps minutes? The governor doesn't care, dude. Come over. He has a tank.
It's Sasha.
Come talk to him.
Minutes.
Right.
I mean, I thought that, again, some of that I thought was really effective in terms of their rapport. Like, I have sick kids. Well, I have a tank. I thought those were nice little moments. They just were stretched out. You could tell at certain times you just thought, okay, you're really stretching this out to get to this, what is going to be impactful moments.
Yeah.
Including even sort of the Sasha Ben Stokey moments where I was like, not sure where this is fitting into the grander scheme of the episode.
Right.
But I did like those last 20 minutes. I thought those were really well executed. Top to bottom, I think episode 5 of this season, Internment, was the best because it was strong beginning to end.
Yeah.
But I think that this did rebound from a questionable couple of weeks. How about you?
I just thought, I do feel like the season kind of derailed a bit when they went back to the governor because I was really liking this season until then. I thought it was just kind of, awkwardly done. They were trying to kind of redo missed opportunity last year, but they had to do it in an awkward way, and we had to basically see the governor go through steps we'd seen before, get back to where he was, and then find a new group of people. You had to really jump a lot of hurdles, the fact that he would find a group of people that were so willing to go along with him, a guy that he could say, I just killed your brother, and the guy's like, cool, I'll go with you, and I'll be your right-hand man, and that everyone else, even after Rick's like, hey, you can all come live with us, and the governor murders an innocent man in front of them, the fact that they would all still charge in the battle, except I guess one character, who, she couldn't go through with it. It was awkward to me, and I felt like it kind of derailed the plague storyline. You had to kind of be reminded, oh, that's happening, but now it seems like everyone's getting better. So the first half was really awkward for me in that respect. I do agree, the last 20 minutes or so, very exciting. Lots of, intense stuff happening one after the other, and stuff that has a comic book fan. I was excited, to actually see the governor say, kill them all, standing at the tank, but you kind of did feel like they had to work really hard to get back there after they didn't do it a few months ago at the end of season 3.
Yeah. And again, it's hard to say because I do think for the fan base and as a fan and people that were wanting to see some of those moments, it worked. They pulled them off. And I think in terms of the fight, at that point, once somebody starts shooting at you, it's just instinctual. You start shooting back, and then it just becomes, you're so lost you don't know what's going on, So that I didn't really as much have a problem with because I thought it was just the heat of the moment, and I think they're all criminals and insane because this is what this guy's told me, but he's also crazy. This is just what's happening. And that Lizzie, bullseye psycho little Lizzie, who I have this very strange affection for this psychopath, even though she terrifies me. Man, that moment had me out of my seat. I really didn't see that coming, even though I know she's nuts. But I thought it was great because it circled back to Carol and sort of the idea that this isn't what she intended, but she may have kind of not on purpose instilled this killer drive in this girl.
Yeah,
you know?
IGN writer Matt Fowler had said that he was cringing when Lizzie had her moment of like, we should stay, like Carol taught us, and I was the same, like cringing at that moment, and then pleased when the payoff was just like, yeah, it wasn't them screwing up or something weird, although I guess there's a Judith question involved here.
Yeah.
So I did think that was a nice, surprising moment. I'll kind of forgive the fact that, as far as we know, Lizzie was never trained on shooting a gun. But you know,
but we don't know. I mean,
we don't know.
We saw her with knives. We don't know if she also used guns. It was at close range. She had the element of surprise.
Yes,
no,
I'm
serious. Like,
no, she did.
You know, you're just like, hey, and you're like, I'm not going to shoot a little kid. Boom, you're dead.
And it was like, yeah, I mean, and Tyrese kind of just being taken aback by it all. You know, that was a great moment as far as a nice surprise. Let's get into the big deaths.
Also, one more thing really quickly on Lizzie is that now we're back on that yo-yo train of did Carol or did Carol not do it?
Right.
Possibly after that rat, you know, that sort of dismembered crazy rat, it's possible that Lizzie did it. And when I say I have an affection for this girl, I just think she's a good character. Obviously, I don't like the idea of a sociopathic child.
No, I love sociopathic childs, though. I'm trying to raise a bunch of them like that. Let's get to the big deaths, though, that happened in this episode. And here's where we're going to go into some comic book stuff. So first and foremost, Hershel. I think, he was sort of like the big hero character that went out. What did you think of Hershel's death?
I thought, well, this is a weird thing to say. I mean, I thought it was great in the sense of the character that died in the comic had so much more weight at that point in the comic. You know, he was such a big character. The readers were going to feel the loss. We needed that kind of a replacement. And so I thought Hershel was a really good choice in that sense, where you were going to feel the loss, but let's face it, it's not going to induce riots. But you were really going to feel the loss. They had to make a bold move in that way. And I thought there was something really lovely about his last smile. His performance, I thought, was really strong. And then I think so it satisfied comic book fans. It also probably shocked non-readers in an effective way. And I feel like that he is everything the governor was not, even more than Rick, you know. And they gave him that episode in Tournament to really highlight that. Yeah. So I thought that was, you can be a better man. This is how you can be a better man. And because the governor knew that he had failed to do that as Brian, he hated him. That drove him over the edge. I thought that was really well done. I did too. It didn't, for whatever reason, that scene didn't emotionally get me. Like even I thought it might, because I do like Hershel. I thought he had a great episode a few weeks ago. But I will miss the character. It's interesting. Dale has been killed, now Hershel, so we keep losing that sort of elderly moral grandfather, moral figure. So once again, they're going to kind of be adrift in that way. But it certainly was effective. Again, I don't know if, the governor chopping off someone's head would make all those people be like, maybe I should keep running with him. But I do think the death itself was, was a good gut punch, which it needed to be at that moment. The other one, obviously, we saw was the governor himself, which it was time. I just feel like they really, after the last couple episodes, it's like, okay, they did the fake out redemption. There's nowhere else to go with this character. So I was pleased to see him go, because I think it's time to move on, and I thought it was effective. I'm glad Michonne got to deliver the killing blow, as it were. What'd you think? Well, and that's the interesting thing, is that they mixed elements from the Rise of the Governor and the comic with Tara and Lily, and then Lily in the comic took him out. And so, but she did it here too, a different Lily for a different reason, but I thought it was still effective. Because was it a mercy killing because he was going to die and get eaten anyway? Or was it a revenge killing? Yeah. I like the fact that there's a little bit of that question. I also like that Michonne, because she had said a few weeks ago, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with the revenge path. And she was. Even though she had said to him earlier, I'm going to kill you, which was a hilarious moment, she just was like, I'm not going to be bothered. Have fun getting eaten alive. Right. I mean, although, of course, there is something sadistic about that. Because she knows he'll die a more horrific death, and if she just takes him out right then. Yeah. But it works on both levels. I think it does. Last but not least, though, is Judith, which I think is going to be the most debated part of this episode. Not so much because, oh my God, they killed a baby, but because it's a question mark. And here's comic book talk here, but in the comic book, it's definitive. We see on camera, as it were, on panel, we see this baby got killed. Yeah. It's horrible. It's a wrenching moment. But here they chose to have it happen off screen, or did it happen off screen? I think I don't know. And it's a really interesting thing, because it's an odd thing to say, but I wanted them to make that bold move. It's not that I wanted the baby to die. I just thought with Rick, but here's the thing that they've done is they've left it a question mark, but Rick's still going to have to face the loss, because as far as he's concerned, she's dead. So he's going to have to go through that no matter what, unless they find her right away. I just hope they weigh the possibilities
bodies right away. I understand in the moment panicking, but once they've gotten their bearings, they'll have to say, hey, other people got away. Maybe she's with one of them, because I do think it's a huge leap to be like, the baby's gone, she must be dead. Must be dead.
But there was blood.
There was blood, but we went through this with Carol, and that's my biggest fear, not to drag it out. So let us know what you guys thought of the mid-season finale, and let us know, do you think Judith is actually dead, or is she going to pop up at some point? Someone's carrying her out there. Let us know. We'll be back in February to talk much more about Walking Dead.